Tony Cheng is following developments in Israel for us from the Jordanian capital, Amman. Tony, Israel reporting that its army has suffered casualties in southern Lebanon. What does that tell us about the state of Israeli military operations in Lebanon?
Indeed, we heard from the Israeli military that 2 soldiers have died since the ceasefire, 14 have been injured. But we've also heard in the last hour some comments from Israel Katz, the defense minister, particularly with reference to the yellow line that you were just talking about. And he says, and this is a direct quote, "We need to extend the yellow line to the anti-tank zone. From this line, which our heroic soldiers have secured, we will continue to operate to neutralize threats on the ground." And he goes on to say, "The Prime Minister and I have instructed the Israeli army to operate with full force by sea, air and land to protect our soldiers. Every suspicious building must be destroyed immediately," which gives an indication of what is going on in those areas of southern Lebanon, where we know that the Israeli army has been continuing to operate to demolish buildings, anything they consider to be a Hezbollah asset. And he goes on to say that if the Lebanese government does not uphold its commitments, by which he means disarming Hezbollah, the Israeli army will act. The army is ready to operate and carry out the mission. So I think that gives you an indication of the fact that there is a ceasefire that's been in place, but it's one which the Israeli army appears to have a very different interpretation of from the Lebanese government.
Meanwhile, there have been ongoing protests in Israel itself, Tony. What does that indicate about support for the Israeli government?
Yes, and we're expecting more later on Sunday. In fact, the border town of Kiryat Shmona, right on the border with Lebanon, is expecting to see a protest directly opposing this ceasefire agreement, which has been very unpopular in the northern areas close to the border, but more widely throughout Israel, as polls seem to be suggesting. And that's in part because many people feel the Israeli government has been prohibited from carrying out its goals. In fact, that word prohibited was used in a social media post by Donald Trump earlier in the week when he said that Israel was prohibited from dropping any more bombs on Lebanon. People in Israel feel that the goals haven't been achieved. And that may in part explain why Donald Trump felt obliged to tweet a social media post which was full of praise for Israel early on Sunday morning, in which he said Israel fights hard and knows how to win. That may be in part because he knows that if negotiations are going to start later on this week, both with the wider war but also in Washington, D.C., but directly between Lebanon and Israel to find a more permanent ceasefire, he may be asking Benjamin Netanyahu for more favors in the future.
Al Jazeera's Tony Cheng reporting live from Amman in Jordan. Tony, many thanks indeed.